Thank you, Lord Jesus, for opportunities to talk about you. Please help me to stay focused and grounded in your word and to not stray away. Keep me from saying what I shouldn't be saying and to say what I should be saying. Amen. Well, I think we made a good page and a half through yesterday.
It helps the bigger kids to feel better that you're taking this seriously.
Mm-hmm. So, going back to getting into this castle, which he didn't even see looming ahead of him because he was so focused on his own little whining. He had to make it past the lions, right? And mistrust and timorous, mistrust, he wouldn't trust the path. And timorous was too afraid. So I don't think I called that out. Then I saw Christian go forward, though he still trembled with fear of the lions. He took care to follow the porter's directions and stayed to the middle of the path. The lions roared and snarled, but they did him no harm. He clapped his hands with joy and went on till he stood before the palace gate where the porter awaited him. Then said Christian to Watchful, because that's the name of the porter, "Sir, what is the purpose of this house, and may I stay here for the night?" The porter answered, "This house was built by the Lord of the Hill, and he built it for the relief and security of pilgrims." The porter looked directly at Christian and asked, "Where are you from, and where are you going?" "I have come from the city of destruction," Christian said, "and am going to Mount Zion. But now that the sun is set, I would like, if I may, to stay here tonight." "What is your name?" "Now my name is Christian, but originally my name was Graceless. I was born of the race of Japheth, whom God will persuade to dwell in the tents of Shem and let Canaan be his servant." That was quoting Genesis chapter 9, verse 27. One of the sons of Noah. The porter's eyes narrowed. "But how is it you have arrived so late? The sun has already set." So, just going back and calling out, his name was Graceless, so he used to have no grace, but now he has grace and he's Christian. Christian looked away for a moment, too ashamed to meet the porter's eyes. "I would have been here sooner, but worthless man that I am, I slept in the shady resting place that stands on the hill Difficulty. Even in spite of that, I would have been here much sooner, except that while I slept, I lost my scroll of certification. When I reached the top of the hill, I felt for it in my pocket. When it wasn't there, my heart was filled with sorrow, and I was forced to go back to the place where I had overslept. I finally found it there, and pressed forward on my journey once again. Now at this hour, I have come this far." The porter said, "Well, I will call out one of the virgins of this place. If she likes what you have to say, she will invite you to join the rest of the family, according to the rules of the house." So Watchful, the porter, rang a bell. At the sound of the bell, a serious but beautiful young woman named Discretion came out of the door of the house and asked, "Why have you called me?" The porter answered, "This man is on a journey from the city of destruction to Mount Zion, but he is weary, and seeing that the sun has set, he asked if he might stay here for tonight. So I told him I would call for you, and that after talking with him, you would decide what seems best according to the rules of the house." Her name is Discretion. What does discretion mean? To be discreet, to know what to say and what not to say, to have tact. Then the young woman asked Christian, "Where are you from, and where are you going?" He told her, and she also asked him how he got into the way, and he told her. Then she asked him what he had seen and met with in the way, and he told her all that as well. Lastly, she asked his name. He said, "My name is Christian, and I have a greater desire to stay here tonight, now that I understand this place was built by the Lord of the Hill for the relief and security of pilgrims." She smiled, and tears brimmed in her eyes. After a slight pause, she said, "I will call for 2 or 3 more of the family." So she ran to the door and called to Prudence, Piety, and Charity, who came out to meet him. Following a little more conversation with him, they invited him inside to meet the rest of the family. Many of them met him at the threshold of the house and warmly welcomed him inside, saying, "Come in, you who are blessed of the Lord. This house was built by the Lord of the Hill specifically for the purpose of entertaining pilgrims such as you." Okay. Pilgrim is asked about his journey. Christian bowed his head in respect and followed them into the house. Once inside, he sat down and they gave him something to drink. They agreed that until supper was ready, to make the best use of time, some of them should have a conversation with Christian regarding specific matters. So Piety, Prudence, and Charity were chosen for this discussion, and they began to talk with him. Charity in the Old English would be what we consider love.
Kindness.
Pardon?
Or kindness.
Yeah, but it's not. Charity today is I will give to a charity who is going to feed the poor, soup kitchens, that type of thing. That's, but that was not the understanding of the word at the time, 400 years ago. "Come, Christian," Piety said, "since we have shown love to you and received you into our house tonight, let us talk about all things that have happened to you in your pilgrimage. Perhaps talking about these things will help us better ourselves. I am thankful for your goodwill, and I am glad your attitude is so friendly." Piety asked, "What made you decide to take a pilgrim's life in the first place?" "I was driven from my native country by a dreadful message that unavoidable destruction would consume me if I continued to live in the city of destruction." "But how did it happen that you came from your country in this direction?" she asked. Christian told her that it was what God wanted. "For when I was fearful of destruction hanging over me, I did not know which way to go. But by chance a man by the name of Evangelist came to me as I was trembling and weeping. He directed me to the wicket gate. If he had not, I would never have found it. And so he pointed out the way that has led me directly to this house." So when he says by chance he met a man, that is a phrase, but God directs your path, right? So God puts people in your path that give you his word, they give you his message. One plants, another waters, that type of thing. So it isn't by pure random chance, because there is no pure random chance in the universe. It's a long technical discussion, but you actually have to construct randomness. It doesn't actually exist. Piety's brow furrowed in thought. "But did not you come by way of the house of the interpreter?" "Oh, yes," Christian nodded, eager to share the experience. "The things I saw there are most memorable. They will stick with me as long as I live. 3 of the things I saw especially made an impact. The first is how Christ, in opposition to Satan, maintains his work of grace in the heart. The second is how the man in the iron cage had sinned himself quite out of hope of God's mercy. And the third is the dream of the man who thought in his sleep that the day of judgment had come." "Did you hear him tell his dream?" "Yes," Christian said. I thought it a dreadful revelation. It made my heart ache as he told it, and yet I am glad I heard it. Was this all you saw at the house of the interpreter? Christian shook his head. No. He took me to a place where he showed me a stately palace, and how the people in the palace were dressed in gold. Then a courageous man cut his way through the armed men who stood at the door to keep him out, and once he did, he was commanded to come inside and win eternal glory. My heart and mind were totally overwhelmed at the sight of these things. I would have stayed at that good man's house for a year, except I knew I had farther to go. What else did you see along the way? See? Well, I had only gone a little farther when I saw one, with a capital O, as if in my mind, hanging upon a tree, bleeding. The very sight of him made my burden fall off my back, for I had groaned under a very heavy burden. But it dropped off my back just like that. He snapped his fingers. I don't know, I had to do it. I had never seen such a thing, and it surprised me. While I stood looking up, for I could not stop looking, 3 shining ones came to me. One of them declared that my sins were forgiven. Another stripped off my rags and gave me this embroidered coat I am wearing. And the third set the mark you see upon my forehead and gave me this sealed scroll. He pulled the scroll from his pocket and showed it to her. But you saw even more than this, didn't you? Christian thought about it for a second and said, The things I have told you were the best. But I did see some other interesting things. For instance, I saw 3 men, simple, sloth, and presumption, lying asleep beside the way by which I came. They wore shackles upon their heels. But do you think I could awaken them? It was almost impossible. I also saw formalists and hypocrisy come tumbling over the wall instead of entering by the wicket gate, and they pretended to be headed to Zion. But they were quickly lost, and even though I warned them, they would not believe. However, the hardest thing for me was getting up this hill, and it was equally difficult to muster the faith to get by the mouths of the lions. I am telling you, if it had not been for the good man watchful, the porter who stands at the gate, I am not sure that I would not have gone back down the hill. But I thank God I am here, and thank you for receiving me. Prudence jumped into the conversation and said, I have a few questions I would like you to answer. First, do you sometimes think of the country from which you came? Yes, he let out a sigh, but not with fondness. I think of where I came from with much shame and loathing. And the truth be told, if I had yearned for that country, I might have taken opportunity to return there by now. Instead, my heart desires a better country. That is a heavenly one. Hebrews chapter 11, verses 15 through 16. And indeed, if they had been thinking of that country from which they went out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Prudence took in a deep breath and let it out slowly. Do not you carry some memories of the things you did there and the people you talked to? Yes, I do, but greatly against my will, especially deep inside my carnal thoughts and reasoning. Carnal would be your earthly, selfish, the things that your body wants. You see, all my countrymen, as well as myself, delighted in debating about such things, but now all those things only grieve me. If I could control my thoughts, I would choose never to think of those carnal things ever again. But even if I was able to do that which is best, that which is worst would still live within me. Romans chapter 7, verses 15 and 21. For what I am doing, I do not understand. For I am not practicing what I would like to do, but I am doing the very thing I hate. I find then the principle that evil is present in me, the one who wants to do good. Prudence tilted her head slightly to the side. Did you sometimes find that those things related to personal carnality were overcome, yet at other times were cause for great puzzlement and confusion? So all your selfish desires, sometimes you've got them under complete control, and sometimes they've completely controlled you. Sure, but those times of victory over carnality happen infrequently. However, when they did happen, it was truly golden. So it's not very often that he wins out over his selfish desires, but he really appreciates it when they do happen. When you experience such precious times in overcoming carnal annoyances, can you remember how you obtained these victories? Yes, there are several means. For instance, when I think and meditate on what I saw at the cross, that will do it. And when I look at my embroidered coat, that will do it. Plus, when I read and study the scroll I carry in my pocket next to my heart, that will do it. When my thoughts are warmly stimulated about where I am going, that will do it too. We have Christian is instructed by Beautiful. We will stop when we get to Beautiful. No, wait, he's instructed at the Palace Beautiful. I was thinking that was one of the daughters. The other one's Charity. Okay. Prudence pressed him further. And what is it that makes you so desirous to go to Mount Zion? Christian's eyes grew wide and dreamy. Why, I hope to see him alive who hung dead on the cross. And there I hoped to be rid of all those things that remain an annoyance to me. There at the celestial city, there is no death. And there I shall dwell with such companions as I like best. For to tell you the truth, I love him because he released me from my burden, and I am weary of my inward sickness. In view of this, I prefer to be where I shall die no more, and in the company of others who shall continually cry, Holy, holy, holy. Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. And he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death. There will no longer be any mourning, or crying, or pain. The first things have passed away. And we will stop there because we're starting a new discourse with Charity. That'll take a while. Okay, thank you.